Chosen one, this is not a random recommendation. The algorithm did not bring you here, a specific frequency did. Look at your life in the last 72 hours. Have you felt a strange, heavy detachment from the world around you, like you are watching a movie where everyone else is acting but you are the only one who forgot the script? That feeling is not depression. It is not anxiety. It is separation. Right now, as you listen to my voice, I want you to mentally lock the door to your outside world. Pull your focus inward, because the heaviness you feel in your spirit is actually a signal. You are part of the 1% who can sense the shift before it happens. While the world sleeps, your spirit has been wide awake, waiting for this specific confirmation. You are not crazy. You are being calibrated. And it is time to decode exactly what is happening. I need you to be honest with yourself right now. Think about the last family gathering you went to. Or maybe it was a meeting at work. You were physically there, sitting in the chair. You were smiling. You were nodding. But inside, there was a screaming silence. You looked at the people around you, laughing about politics or sports or celebrity gossip, and you felt like you were drowning behind a glass wall. You wanted to stand up and shout, "Do you not feel the ground shaking? Do you not see the storm clouds gathering?" But you stayed silent. You drank your water, you checked your phone, and you swallowed the warning, because the last time you tried to share your vision, they looked at you like you were losing your mind. They told you to stop being so negative. They told you to live in the moment. So you learned to hide. You learned to carry the burden alone. And now that burden has become physical. Notice the pressure behind your eyes right now. Not a headache, but a pressure like something is pushing from the inside out. Notice the tension in your jaw that you did not even realize you were holding until I just mentioned it. You wake up between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m., staring at the blue light of your phone, searching for answers, but finding only noise. You feel exhausted even after you sleep. You feel a vibration in your chest that feels like panic, but it has no cause. You have been asking God, "What is wrong with me? Why can I not just be happy like everyone else? Why is my spirit so heavy when my life is technically fine?" Listen to me closely. This heaviness is not a malfunction. It is a mechanism. Scripture tells us in Romans chapter 8 verse 22 that we know that the whole creation has been groaning, as in the pains of childbirth, right up to the present time. Most people read that verse and they just see the word groaning. They think it means suffering. They think it means death. But if you look at the original Greek, the word used there describes a very specific type of pain. It is the pain of labor. Think about that. The pain of death and the pain of birth feel exactly the same to the body. Both involve screaming. Both involve blood. Both involve pressure that feels like it will tear you apart. But the outcome is completely different. One ends in a grave. The other ends in a life. What you are feeling in your body right now, this pressure behind your eyes, this restlessness in your legs, is not the groan of death. It is the groan of birth. Your spirit is picking up on the fact that a new timeline is being birthed on the earth right now. The world is splitting into two realities, and your nervous system is registering the tear. You are feeling the contractions of the age. And because you are feeling it, you are the one responsible for preparing for it. This is why you must stay with me until the very last second of this video. I am not just going to give you a motivational speech. By the end of this message, I am going to hand you the blueprints to the internal technology you carry. We are going to reveal why you are actually a living ark, and I am going to expose the 7 specific distractions the enemy is using right now to jam your signal. If you leave early, you will leave with the diagnosis but without the cure. And in this season, partial truth is dangerous. So settle in. We are going to deep water. Now I know what your logical mind is telling you. I know the voice of the accuser is loud in your ear right now. He is telling you that this is a spiritual attack. He is telling you that you are under warfare because you opened a door to sin or because you are not praying enough. You have been rebuking this heaviness. You have been trying to cast out this anxiety. You have been binding the spirit of depression. But nothing is working, is it? The more you pray against it, the heavier it gets. Stop fighting for a second. Take a breath. What if I told you that you have been fighting the wrong enemy? What if this is not an attack from hell, but an assignment from heaven? You see, we have been taught that peace means the absence of pressure. We have been taught that if God is with us, we should feel light and fluffy and comfortable. But that is not the biblical pattern for the chosen ones. That is not the pattern for the watchman. When a radar system is turned off, it is silent, it is cold, it has no pressure. But when you turn a high-powered radar system on, when you pump electricity through its circuits to scan the horizon for incoming threats, that system hums, it vibrates, it heats up, it carries a load. You are not under attack. You are being powered up. The reason you cannot sleep is not because demons are tormenting you. It is because the watchman does not sleep when the enemy is approaching the gate. The reason you feel that vibration in your chest is not panic. It is the hum of a spiritual engine that has just been switched to high alert. God is not punishing you with this sensitivity. He is trusting you with it. He has upgraded your senses because the time we are entering requires a level of discernment that the 99% do not possess. They are sleeping because their senses are off. You are awake because yours are online. But here is the danger. If you do not know how to read these signals, you will misinterpret them. You will think the vibration of the engine is the shaking of the vehicle falling apart. You will try to shut down the very system that God gave you to save your family. So, how do you tell the difference? How do you know if that drop in your stomach is just fear, or if it is the Holy Spirit warning you of a trap? How do you calibrate this radar so it stops hurting you and starts guiding you? The answer lies in a protocol that ancient prophets used, but modern believers have forgotten. And once you learn it, you will never look at your anxiety the same way again. So let us calibrate right now. You are likely asking a very logical question. You are thinking this sounds amazing, but how do I know for sure? How do I know the difference between a spiritual signal and just regular anxiety? How do I know if I am sensing a shift or if I am just stressed out about my bills? This is the most dangerous trap for the chosen one, because if you cannot distinguish the signal from the noise, you will burn out trying to fight phantom enemies. To solve this, we need to install the 3-signal radar protocol into your spirit. This is the framework that separates the paranoid from the prophetic. The first step of the protocol is identifying the location of the sensation. I want you to do a mental scan of your body right this second without moving a muscle. Just shift your internal focus. When you feel that wave of uneasiness hit you, where does it live? Regular anxiety usually lives in the throat and the upper chest. It feels frantic, it feels spinning, it feels like a squirrel trapped in a cage. It makes your thoughts race about what-if scenarios. What if I lose my job? What if they don't like me? It is fast and it is shallow, but a spiritual alert, a radar signal from the Holy Spirit, that feels completely different. It does not live in the throat, it lives in the gut. It lives in the belly. It is not frantic, it is heavy. The Hebrew word used for prophetic revelation in the Old Testament is often masa. In Nahum chapter 1 verse 1, it says, "The burden of Nineveh." The book of the vision of Nahum. That word burden is massa, and it literally means a heavy weight. It implies something that must be lifted up and carried. When God downloads intel into you, He is not sending you a text message, He is placing a weight on your spirit. So, if you are feeling a heaviness that sits deep in your stomach like a lead weight, a feeling that makes you want to go silent rather than talk fast, that is not anxiety. That is massa. That is the weight of the Lord. You are carrying intel about the future that your conscious mind has not decoded yet. Your body is reacting to the gravity of the situation before your brain has the facts. This brings us to the second step of the protocol, which is the biological response check. You need to stop rebuking your physical symptoms and start listening to them. Many of you are trying to pray away a stomachache or a racing heart, not realizing those are your gauges. Listen to how the prophet Jeremiah described his experience in Jeremiah chapter 4, verse 19. He did not say, "I have a spiritual idea." He screamed, my bowels, I am pained at my very heart. My heart makes a noise in me, I cannot hold my peace." Look at the raw physical detail there. He is talking about his digestive system cramping. He is talking about heart palpitations. He is talking about a physical inability to sit still. If Jeremiah went to a modern doctor, they would diagnose him with a panic attack and give him a sedative. But Jeremiah was not having a panic attack. He was picking up the frequency of an incoming war. He said, "I cannot hold my peace because thou hast heard, O my soul, the sound of the trumpet, the alarm of war." His soul heard the alarm before his ears did, and his body reacted violently to the signal. So, here is the instruction. The next time you feel that sudden drop in your gut, or that sudden racing heart when you walk into a room, or when you think about a specific person, do not ignore it. Do not pop a pill to numb it. Stop, go internal, and ask this specific question: is this mine or is this incoming? If you check your own life and everything is fine but the heaviness remains, then it is incoming. You are picking up the atmosphere. You are sensing the intent of a person across the room. You are feeling the shift in the timeline. This leads to the third and final step of the protocol, which is the confirmation wait. Hebrews chapter 5 verse 14 tells us that solid food belongs to those who, by reason of use, have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. Notice it says senses exercised. This is a workout. You do not get big muscles by lifting a weight once, and you do not get sharp discernment by guessing once. When you feel the heavy signal, do not act immediately. Do not call everyone you know and scream that the sky is falling. That is how you look crazy. That is how you lose credibility. Instead, you hold the weight. You sit in the silence with that pressure in your gut, and you say, "Father, I feel the alert. I am listening. Show me the second witness." God will always confirm his alerts. Maybe you feel the heavy drop about a business deal. You hold it. 2 days later, you see a news article that confirms the industry is shaking, or you hear a passing comment from a stranger that hits the exact same note. That is the confirmation. That is when you move. So, right now, I want you to engage your will. In your mind, I want you to visualize a switchboard in front of you. It has been flashing red with anxiety and fear and confusion. I want you to mentally reach out and flip the switch from fear to alert. Tell your spirit right now, "I am not afraid. I am on duty." Feel the shift in your posture when you do that. Anxiety makes you cower. Duty makes you stand tall. The heaviness might still be there, but now it is not crushing you. It is arming you. You are no longer a victim of your feelings. You are a reader of the atmosphere. But now that you have this tool, now that you know how to read the signal, you are going to face a new problem. And this one is going to hurt more than the anxiety did. Because once you start reading the radar clearly, you are going to look around at the people you love the most, your spouse, your parents, your childhood friends, and you are going to realize that they do not feel a thing. They are walking straight into the storm that you see coming, and they are laughing. You try to warn them, and they look at you blankly. You try to explain the heaviness, and they tell you to lighten up. This brings us to the most painful question every chosen one has to answer. If this shift is so real, why am I the only one in my family who feels it? Why does God show me the danger, but leave them in the dark? The answer to that question explains the excruciating loneliness you have been feeling for years, and it reveals a truth about the timeline of this world that is going to shock you. The truth is, you are lonely because you are vibrating at a frequency that the people around you cannot access. You have spent years wondering why you are the black sheep. You have spent years trying to explain your insights to your parents or your spouse or your friends, only to be met with that blank, glossy stare. You know the look I am talking about. It is the look that says, I hear your words, but I have absolutely no idea what you are talking about. Or worse, it is the look of judgment that says, you are too intense, you are too negative, you are a conspiracy theorist. This is the deepest wound of the watchman. It is the shadow of rejection. You walk away from those conversations feeling drained. You get into your car after the family dinner and you grip the steering wheel and you scream in your mind, why can they not see it? It is so obvious. The cracks in the system are everywhere. The spiritual atmosphere is heavy. Why are they acting like everything is normal? And then the doubt creeps in. The enemy whispers to you in that moment of isolation. He says, maybe they are right. Maybe you are the problem. Maybe you are just mentally unstable. Maybe you should just shut up and be normal like them. But you cannot shut up, can you? You have tried. You have tried to just talk about the weather and sports and celebrity gossip, but it feels like physically swallowing poison. The prophet Jeremiah felt this exact same torture. In Jeremiah chapter 20 verse 9, he talked about the physical cost of holding back the signal. He said, Then I said, I will not make mention of him, nor speak any more in his name. But his word was in mine heart, as a burning fire shut up in my bones, and I was weary with forbearing, and I could not stay. Notice the somatic language again. Fire in the bones, weary with holding it in. Jeremiah tried to quit. He tried to be normal. He tried to shut down his radar, so he would not be mocked anymore. But he physically could not do it. The signal was too strong. The truth was too heavy. If you have felt that burning pressure in your chest when you try to suppress your intuition, that is not a sign of mental illness. That is the fire of the watchman. You were designed to sound the alarm, and when you try to mute yourself, you are fighting against your own biology. So, why do they not hear you? Why does your warning sound like nonsense to them? It is not because they are stupid, and it is not necessarily because they are evil. It is because we are living through a timeline split. Right now, on this earth, there are two distinct realities occurring simultaneously. Imagine two trains sitting at the same station. For a long time, they were moving in the same direction on parallel tracks. You could yell across from one train to the other and be heard, but now the tracks are diverging. Train A is the 99%. This is the timeline of the sleepwalkers. The energy of this timeline is numbness. It is distraction. It is the preservation of the status quo at all costs. Train B is the 1%. This is the timeline of the watchman. The energy of this timeline is awakening. It is preparation. It is seeing the storm before the first cloud appears. As these two trains pull further apart, the distance between you and the people on train A is getting wider. You are shouting across the gap, but they can no longer hear you. The frequency is breaking up. What you call preparation, they call paranoia. What you call discernment, they call judgment. Jesus described this exact split in Matthew chapter 24 verses 37 through 39. He said, "But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not, until the flood came, and took them all away." We have read that verse 1,000 times, but we missed the most important word. The word is until. They knew not until the flood came. Notice that Jesus did not say they were doing evil things. Eating and drinking and getting married are not sins. They are normal life activities, and that is exactly the point. The sin of the people in Noah's day was not that they were monsters, it was that they were numb. They were so obsessed with maintaining their normal routine, eating, drinking, planning weddings, that they completely missed the atmospheric shift happening right above their heads. Noah was building a giant wooden boat in the middle of dry land. The warning was visible. The sound of the hammer hitting the wood was audible. But they could not process it because they were locked in the timeline of normalcy. They literally could not see the rain coming until the water was in their lungs. You are living in the days of Noah right now. You are surrounded by people who are obsessed with their normal routine while the spiritual floodwaters are rising. You are the one hearing the hammer. You are the one sensing the rain pressure. And this is why you must stop seeking their validation. If you wait for the 99% to agree with you before you start building your ark, you will drown with them. I want you to do something hard right now, a mental action of release. I want you to close your eyes for just a second, if you can safely do so, or just focus your mind. Visualize the need for approval from your family and friends as a thick cord attached to your stomach. That cord is feeding you doubt. It is draining your energy. In your mind, I want you to take a pair of golden spiritual scissors and cut that cord. Snip it. Watch it fall away. Take a deep breath. Do you feel that release? That is the weight of their opinion falling off you. You do not need them to understand the storm for the storm to be real. Your job is not to convince them. Your job is to prepare despite them. Let me tell you a story about someone who failed this test so you do not have to. I spoke with a man recently, let us call him Michael. About 8 months ago, Michael felt the heavy gut drop regarding his secure corporate job. Every time he walked into the office, he felt the fire in his bones. The radar was screaming, "Get out. Start your own stream of income. Prepare." But Michael looked at the timeline of the 99%. His colleagues were happy. The company was posting record profits. His wife looked at the numbers and said, "Michael, you are being irrational. We have a mortgage. This is a safe job. Do not be foolish." Michael valued the validation of the 99% more than the signal of the 1%. He tried to shut off the alarm. He told himself he was just being paranoid. He stayed on train A. 3 weeks ago, that company announced a massive restructuring due to AI integration. Michael was laid off with zero severance. The very safety he was trying to protect evaporated overnight. Now he is scrambling. He is panicked. He is trying to build a raft in the middle of a hurricane. But here is the tragedy. God did not abandon Michael. God sent the signal 8 months early. The anxiety he felt back then was not a curse. It was the ark. It was the escape route. But because he waited for the approval of people who could not hear the signal, he missed his window of preparation. Proverbs chapter 27 verse 12 says, "A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished." The prudent man does not wait for the evil to arrive. He foresees it. He moves before the evidence is visible. The simple man passes on. He keeps his routine. He keeps eating and drinking and marrying until the flood takes him away. You are the prudent one. You are the one who foresees. Do not let the simple make you doubt your sight. But this brings us to the most critical question of all. If the flood is coming and the systems of the world are shaking, where do you hide? You have understood the separation. You have cut the cord of validation. But you are still looking for a place of safety. You are looking for a physical location, a bunker, a bank account, or a person to be your ark. Stop looking outward. Stop looking at maps. Stop looking at gold. I am about to reveal the location of the true ark. And I promise you, it is not where you think it is. It is not a place you go to. It is something you become. You have been looking for the ark in a location. You have been looking for it in a bank account, thinking that if you just had enough money, you would be safe from the chaos. You have been looking for it in a spouse, thinking that if you just had the right partner, you would feel secure. You have been looking for it in a geographic move, thinking that if you just got out of the city and bought land in the mountains, you would survive the storm. But you are missing the revelation that changes everything. You are not looking for the ark. You are the ark. The safety you are desperately seeking is not a place you run to. It is a frequency you carry. When the floodwaters rise in this timeline, they will not be waters of rain. They will be waters of fear, waters of confusion, waters of insanity. No bunker in the mountains can protect you from the spirit of fear if that spirit is already inside your mind. But if you are the ark, the chaos can be raging all around you, screaming at the windows, pounding on the doors, and you will remain dry. You will remain floating. You will remain untouched. Jesus gave us the coordinates of this safety in Luke chapter 17, verse 21. He said, "Neither shall they say, Lo here or lo there, for behold, the kingdom of God is within you." Stop saying, "Lo, here is safety in gold," or "Lo, there is safety in a bunker." The kingdom, the immovable, unshakable, unfloodable technology of God, is installed within your nervous system right now. You are the mobile sanctuary for your bloodline. When the world falls apart, your family will not be saved because they ran to a specific hill. They will be saved because they ran to you. You are the anchor. You are the stabilizer. But right now I can hear your thoughts screaming back at me. I can hear the objection rising in your throat. You are saying, "How can I be the ark when I feel so weak? How can I be the sanctuary when I am barely holding myself together? I have anxiety. I have past trauma. I have a temper. I have days where I cannot even get out of bed. If I am the ark, then we are all going to sink because I am full of holes." This is the lie that has kept you small for years. You think your value as a vessel depends on your perfection. You think you need to be made of steel and diamond to hold the glory of God. But let us look at the spiritual technology of the ark. In 2 Corinthians chapter 4 verse 7, Paul reveals the blueprint. He says, "But we have this treasure in earthen vessels, that the excellency of the power may be of God, and not of us." Do you know what an earthen vessel is? It is a clay pot. It is fragile. It is cheap. It cracks easily. It is made of the dust of the ground. That is you. That is your humanity. Your anxiety, your fatigue, your trauma, that is the clay. God did not choose you because you are made of titanium. He chose you because you are made of dirt. Why? Because if you were made of titanium, you would take the credit for the power. You would say, "Look how strong I am. Look how I survived the storm." But because you are a cracked clay pot, holding the explosive power of the Holy Spirit, when you survive the impossible, everyone knows it was not you. It was the treasure inside you. Your weakness is not a disqualifier. It is a requirement for the glory to be seen. Let us go deeper into the engineering of this. Go back to Genesis chapter 6 verse 14. When God gave Noah the instructions for the ark, he told him to build it of gopher wood. Wood is organic. It breathes. It expands. It contracts. It is imperfect, just like you. But then he gave a specific command. He said, "Make rooms in the ark and pitch it within and without with pitch." Pitch is a black, sticky substance like tar, used to seal the cracks in the wood so the water cannot get in. But here is the secret that most people miss. The Hebrew word for pitch is kopher, and the verb form is kafar. Do you know what else kafar means in Hebrew? It means atonement. It means to cover. It is the same word used for the blood on the mercy seat. So when God told Noah to cover the wood with pitch, he was physically illustrating a spiritual reality. The wood is your humanity, weak and porous, but the pitch is the blood. The pitch is the atonement. You are the ark, not because your wood is perfect. You are the ark because you have been sealed inside and out with kafar. You have been sealed with the atonement. So, when the waters of judgment hit your life, they do not touch you. They touch the pitch. They touch the blood. Your anxiety does not sink the boat because your anxiety is in the wood, but the water is stopped by the seal. Do you understand what this means for you right now? It means you can stop trying to fix your humanity before you serve God. You can stop trying to polish the wood until it looks like steel. The wood does not keep the boat afloat. The seal does. Your responsibility as the ark is not to be perfect. Your responsibility is to simply stay sealed. I want you to engage in a mental action of sealing right now. Imagine your spirit is that vessel. For years, you have been walking around with the windows open, letting the toxic water of the world splash in. You watch the news and you let the fear in. You listen to negative people and you let their doubt in. And then you wonder why you feel like you are sinking. It is time to close the vents. In your mind, right now, I want you to visualize every entry point to your spirit. Your eyes, your ears, your mind. Visualize a heavy divine door slamming shut over each one. Hear the sound of the lock clicking into place. Clang, clang, clang. You are still in the water. The storm is still raging outside. The news is still bad. The timeline of the 99% is still collapsing. But you are no longer taking on water. You are sealed. You are buoyant. You are contained. Feel the difference in your body when you visualize that. The pressure is still on the outside, but the inside is dry. The inside is calm. That is the peace that passes understanding. It is not the absence of the storm outside. It is the absence of the storm inside. You are the ark. You carry the genetic code of the future. You carry the seeds of the new timeline. When the flood recedes, God is going to use what is inside you to repopulate the earth with a new frequency. But this brings us to a critical warning. A warning that I need you to hear with your spirit wide open. Now that you know who you are. Now that you know you are not just a person trying to survive, but a vessel designed to carry the future. You have just become the #1 target on the enemy's radar. For years, he ignored you because he thought you were just another broken person. He thought you were just drifting wood. But now, he sees the seal. He sees the kafar. He sees the light leaking out of your cracks. And he knows that if he cannot sink you from the outside, he has to find a way to make you open the door from the inside. He cannot break the hull of the ark. He is not powerful enough to break the atonement. So he has changed his strategy. He is no longer trying to crush you with force. He is trying to trick you into opening a window. He has deployed 7 specific weapons, 7 specific frequencies of distraction designed to make you lower your guard and let the water in. And I guarantee you have already felt at least 3 of them in the last week. You thought they were just bad luck. You thought they were just random annoyances. They are not random. They are calculated crowbars designed to pry you open. And if you do not recognize them, you will open the door to the very thing you were built to survive. Let us be very clear about the nature of this warfare. The enemy is not trying to sink you with a frontal assault because he knows you are sealed. He knows the kafar, the atonement, is unbreakable. So he has switched to a tactic called signal jamming. If he cannot break the ship, he will try to confuse the captain. If he cannot stop the timeline split, he will try to make you so dizzy with distractions that you step onto the wrong train by accident. He wants you to open a vent. He wants you to lower a window. He wants you to break the seal yourself. Nehemiah understood this dynamic perfectly. In Nehemiah chapter 4 verse 17, it describes the builders of the wall of Jerusalem. It says, "They which builded on the wall, and they that bear burdens, with those that laded, everyone with one of his hands wrought in the work, and with the other hand held a weapon." This is your posture right now. You are not just a builder, you are a soldier. You cannot just focus on your spiritual growth and ignore the arrows flying at your head. You need a trowel in one hand to build your ark, and a sword in the other to cut through the jamming signals. So, I am going to expose the 7 specific frequencies the enemy is broadcasting right now. These are the 7 distractions of the watchman. I want you to mentally check these off as I name them, because I guarantee you are battling at least 3 of them today. Distraction number 1 is the noise barrage. This is the most common and the most subtle attack. It looks like information overload. You wake up and reach for your phone, and suddenly you are hit with 50 notifications, emails, news alerts about wars, catastrophic predictions, celebrity scandals. It feels like the whole world is screaming for your attention at the same time. The goal of this distraction is to occupy your bandwidth so you cannot hear the subtle ping of the Holy Spirit's radar. If your mind is full of static, you cannot hear the whisper. The counter-strategy here is selective ignorance. You have to treat your attention like a limited currency. When the noise gets loud, you do not engage with it. You do not argue with it. You mute it. If it does not concern your assignment or your household, you do not give it entry. Distraction number 2 is the offense trap. This is a precision strike. The enemy will send a specific person, usually someone close to you or a random stranger, online, to say the one thing that triggers your deepest insecurity. They will disrespect you. They will mock your faith. They will question your sanity. You feel that heat rise in your chest. Your heart starts pounding. You start typing a furious response in your head. You want to defend yourself. You want to set the record straight. Stop. Do not take the bait. Proverbs chapter 19 verse 11 says, "The discretion of a man deferreth his anger, and it is his glory to pass over a transgression." Why is it glory? Because when you step over the trap without snapping it, you prove that you are operating on a higher timeline. The enemy wants you to stop building your ark to come down and fight in the mud. If you stop to argue, you have opened a vent. The water of bitterness gets in, and bitterness is heavy. It will sink your buoyancy. Distraction number 3 is the fatigue spell. Have you felt a sudden wave of exhaustion hit you recently, usually around mid-afternoon? It is not a normal tired. It feels like gravity just doubled. Your limbs feel like lead. Your brain feels like it is moving through molasses. You drink coffee, but it does nothing. This is not physical fatigue. This is spiritual, atmospheric pressure. It is the weight of the dark timeline trying to crush the light of the watchman. The mistake you make is thinking you need more sleep. But you sleep for 10 hours and wake up tired. Why? Because you cannot sleep off a spiritual attack. You have to pray it off. You have to command it off. When this heavy fatigue hits, do not lie down. Stand up in your spirit. Declare that your strength is renewed like the eagle. This is a resistance weight designed to make you drop your guard. Distraction number 4 is the false burden. This is specifically for the empaths and the feelers among you. You feel the pain of the world deeply. The enemy knows this. So he sends you people who are drowning not because they want to be saved, but because they love the drama of the water. They call you at all hours, dumping their chaos onto you, and you listen because you think that is your job. You think being the ark means you have to save everyone who swims by. But listen to me. You cannot save people who are in love with their chains. If you open the door of your ark to pull in someone who is not assigned to you, they will capsize your vessel. You have to distinguish between an assignment and an attachment. An assignment comes from God and brings grace. An attachment comes from guilt and brings drainage. Distraction number 5 is the past echo. Just when you are making progress, just when you are feeling strong, the enemy pulls a file from 10 years ago. He reminds you of a mistake you made, a relationship you ruined, a sin you committed. He whispers, "You are not a watchman, you are a fraud. Look at what you did." Revelation chapter 12 verse 10 calls him the accuser of the brethren. But notice the legal language. An accuser only has power if there is no settlement. But you have the kafar, you have the pitch, you have the atonement. When that thought comes, do not argue with the facts. The facts are, you did make a mistake. But the truth is, the debt is paid. Mentally visualize the blood of the Lamb over that memory. When the accuser brings it up, you say simply, "That file is sealed. I do not have access to it anymore." And you keep building. Distraction number 6 is the comparison poison. This is the most dangerous one for your contentment. You look out the window of your ark and you see the people on the other timeline having the time of their lives. They are buying new cars. They are getting promoted. They seem to have zero consequences for their blindness. And you look at your life. You are in a wooden boat. It smells like animals. It is hard work. You are isolated. And you think, "God, did I make a mistake? Why do the wicked prosper while I am struggling?" Psalm 73 is the antidote for this. The psalmist said, "I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. Until I went into the sanctuary of God, then understood I their end." Do not envy the passengers on the Titanic because the music is loud and the champagne is cold. You know the end of the movie. Do not trade your safety for their temporary party. Keep your eyes on your own timeline. Distraction number 7 is the isolation lie. This is the final blow. The enemy tells you that you are the only one left. He tells you that no one else sees the timeline split. No one else feels the radar. You are completely alone in the universe. If you believe this, you will despair. You will give up. Because humans are not designed to be solitary. But it is a lie. Elijah thought he was alone too. He told God, "I'm the only one left." And God told him, "Open your eyes, Elijah. I have reserved 7,000 others who have not bowed their knee to Baal." You are not alone. You are just scattered. That is why you are watching this video right now. This is a gathering point. The thousands of people listening to this message alongside you are the proof that the remnant exists. I want you to take a mental action right now. Imagine you are holding a shield. It is the shield of faith. But in this season, think of it as a shield of signal. Visualize these 7 distractions as arrows flying at you: noise, offense, fatigue, false burdens, past echoes, comparison, isolation. See them hitting the shield and falling harmlessly to the ground. Ping, ping, ping. They cannot touch you unless you lower the shield. They cannot get in unless you open the door. You are the watchman. You are the ark. You are the warrior builder. But now that you have your shield up, now that you know how to block the jamming signals, you need to do something proactive. You cannot just stand there blocking arrows forever. You need to build a space where your radar can function at 100% efficiency without you having to fight for every inch of clarity. You need a sanctuary, not a church building, not a cave in the mountains. I am talking about a specific blueprint for your daily life that turns your home and your mind into a fortress of revelation. I am going to give you that blueprint right now. This is how you live as a watchman in the 21st century without losing your mind. Now that you have your shield up against the distractions, let us talk about your offense. Let us talk about how you actually live this way without burning out. Because the biggest fear you have right now is sustainability. You are thinking, I can do this for a week maybe, but how do I live as a watchman for the rest of my life? I have a job, I have kids, I have bills. I cannot just go live in a cave and pray for 12 hours a day. You are absolutely right. God did not call you to be a monk. He called you to be a watchman in the marketplace. He called you to be an ark in the middle of the city. To do that, you need a blueprint. You need a system that keeps your radar clean and your vessel sealed automatically, so you do not have to fight for clarity every single morning. But before I give you the blueprint, I want to show you what it looks like when you get this right. I told you earlier about Michael, who ignored the signal and paid the price. Now, I want to tell you about David. David is a real person I spoke with recently. He is a father of 3, and he works in a high-pressure logistics environment. About a year ago, David started feeling that same heavy pressure in his gut that you are feeling now. It was a specific warning about the location of his family. Every time he looked at his comfortable house in the suburbs, he felt a sickness in his stomach. The radar was screaming, move. Logically, it made no sense. The market was bad. His kids loved their school. His wife was comfortable. The timeline of the 99% said, stay put, renovate the kitchen, everything is fine. But David had calibrated his radar. He knew the difference between fear and the Massa of the Lord. He sat his wife down and said, honey, I cannot explain it logically, but the cloud has moved. We have to go. They sold the house. They moved to a quieter location with less debt and more land. His friends called him crazy. They said he was reacting to fear-mongering. They said he was destroying his family's stability. 2 months ago, a wave of civil unrest and crime hit his old neighborhood. The exact street he used to live on became a focal point of the chaos. His old neighbors are now living in fear, trapped in houses they cannot sell because the property values plummeted overnight. But David is not afraid. He is sitting on his porch drinking coffee, watching his kids play in safety. He is not frantic. He is not scrambling. Why? Because he moved when the signal told him to move, not when the crisis forced him to move. That is the power of the watchman lifestyle. It is not about living in paranoia. It is about living in advanced peace. It is about arriving at the safe house before the storm even starts raining. So, how do you build this lifestyle? How do you become like David? You need to implement the sanctuary blueprint. This is a 3-pillar system based on the instruction given to the prophet Habakkuk. In Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 1, the prophet says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me. Notice the deliberate action here. He does not say, I will wander around and hope I hear God. He says, I will stand. I will set myself. I will watch. The watchman must have a designated position. You cannot receive a clear signal if you are running around in circles. Pillar number 1 of the blueprint is the auditory diet. You cannot eat garbage and expect to run a marathon, and you cannot consume fear and expect to produce faith. You need to become ruthless about what enters your ear gates. I am challenging you to a specific fast, not from food, but from the noise of the 99%. For the next 7 days, I want you to cut the cable news. Stop scrolling the doom feeds on social media. Stop listening to the gossip at work. When you remove the static, you will be shocked at how loud the voice of God becomes. You have been thinking God is silent. He is not silent. You are just deafened by the noise of the world. Clear the channel and the signal will return. Pillar number 2 is the morning calibration. You cannot wake up and immediately check your phone. When you do that, you are calibrating your spirit to the anxiety of the world before you have calibrated it to the peace of the kingdom. Habakkuk said, I will set me upon the tower. Every morning before you speak to a human being, you need to ascend the tower. You need 10 minutes of absolute silence. No music, no prayer requests, no reading, just silence. In that silence, you are checking your gauges. You are asking the Holy Spirit, what is the frequency for today? Is it a day to advance? Is it a day to hold? Is it a day to cover? Get the intel before you enter the battlefield. Pillar number 3 is the inner tower. This is the most important one because you cannot always control your outer environment. You might be in a chaotic office or a loud house. You need a portable sanctuary. I want you to build this with me right now in your mind. We are going to construct a mental strong tower that you can run into anytime, anywhere. Close your eyes for a moment or just soften your focus. Imagine a tall stone tower standing in the center of your spirit. The walls are thick, the windows are high, it is completely soundproof. Outside this tower, the storm is raging. The news is screaming, the distractions are flying, but inside the air is still. There is a single chair in the center of the room. Visualize yourself walking into this tower and closing the heavy wooden door behind you. Hear the latch click shut. The noise of the world instantly cuts off. It is just you and the presence of God. This is your post. This is where you go when the boss is yelling. This is where you go when the bills are piling up. You do not have to leave the room physically. You just step into the tower mentally. You take a breath. You receive the download. And then you step back out with the strategy of heaven. This is how you sustain it. You do not sustain it by changing the world around you. You sustain it by changing the world within you. When you live this way, you stop being a thermometer that just goes up and down with the temperature of the room. You become a thermostat. You set the temperature. You walk into a room of panic, and you do not catch the panic. You release the peace. That is what David did. That is what Noah did. And that is what you are called to do. But listen to me closely, chosen one. We are coming to the end of this transmission, and there is one final thing I must tell you. One final piece of intel that God held back until this very moment. We have talked about the symptoms. We have talked about the ark. We have talked about the distractions. We have talked about the lifestyle. But none of that matters if you miss the timing. In the days of Noah, there came a specific moment when the preaching stopped. There came a specific moment when the hammer stopped hitting the wood. There came a moment when the ramp to the ark was pulled up. Genesis says, and the Lord shut him in. There is a sound echoing in the spirit realm right now. It is not a loud sound. It is a quiet, heavy click. It is the sound of a door being shut. The time for casual Christianity is over. The time for playing games with your calling is over. The invitation to enter the ark is not going to stay open forever. The timeline split is finalizing. You can feel it, can't you? You can feel the urgency in your chest rising as I speak these words. That is not fear. That is the Holy Spirit telling you that this is the final call for boarding. You have the blueprint, you have the identity, you have the tools, but you need to be activated, you need to be commissioned. I am about to pray a prayer of activation over you that will seal this identity in your spirit forever. This is not just a closing prayer. This is a commissioning ceremony. This is me handing you the keys to your tower. If you are ready to stop just feeling the signals and start commanding the atmosphere, if you are ready to accept your role as the sensory watchman for your bloodline, then prepare your heart. The door is closing. Are you inside or are you outside? Let us seal this now. The sound of that door closing is the separation of the timelines being finalized. This is the part of the message where I must stop being a teacher and start being a warning siren. We are living in a kairos moment. In Greek, kairos means a critical, opportune moment that passes and does not return. It is different from chronos, which is just ticking clock time. Chronos is plentiful. Kairos is rare. In Matthew chapter 25 verse 1, Jesus tells the parable of the 10 virgins. 5 were wise and had oil. 5 were foolish and ran out. While the foolish went to buy more oil, the bridegroom came, and they that were ready went in with him to the marriage, and the door was shut. That phrase, "and the door was shut," is the most terrifying and comforting phrase in the Bible, depending on which side of the door you are on. For the 99% who are distracted by the noise, the shut door is a tragedy. But for the 1% who are sealed inside the ark, the shut door is the final layer of protection. God is about to shut you in. He is about to make you invisible to the chaos that is coming. But he cannot shut the door if you are still standing on the threshold, looking back at the world. You cannot play games anymore. You cannot be a watchman on Sundays and a sleepwalker on Mondays. You cannot hold the radar in one hand and the distraction in the other. You have to choose your timeline. Right now, tonight. So I am asking you one last time, why are you here? You thought you clicked on this video to understand your anxiety. You thought you came here for information. You were wrong. You were brought here for an activation. You were brought here because the shift in the spirit realm is so massive that God is conscripting soldiers in their sleep. The teaching is over. The briefing is finished. Now we enter the ceremony. I want you to mentally step into that inner tower we built. Visualize your spirit standing up straight, shoulders back, eyes forward. No fear, no fatigue, just readiness. We are going to seal this now. Father, in the name that is above every name, we stand at the post. We acknowledge that the atmosphere has shifted. We acknowledge that the time of normal is over and the time of the watchman has begun. I acknowledge the heavy burden this chosen one has been carrying. You saw the tears at 3 a.m. You saw the isolation at the dinner table. You saw the pain of being misunderstood. I declare right now that those tears were not wasted. They were the watering of the seed of discernment. I now seal the instruction in their spirit. I seal the 3-signal radar protocol. Let their gut be accurate. Let their discernment be sharp. I seal the identity of the ark. They are no longer seeking safety. They are the safety. I seal the sanctuary blueprint. Let their home be a fortress of peace. I bind the 7 distractions right now in the spirit. I bind the noise. I bind the offense. I bind the fatigue. I bind the false burdens. I bind the echoes of the past. I bind the comparison. I bind the spirit of isolation. I declare that these arrows will hit the shield and fall. They have no access to the inner chamber. Ephesians chapter 1 verse 13 says, "You were sealed with that Holy Spirit of promise." I activate that seal now. Let the pitch cover every crack in their humanity. Let the atonement cover every mistake. I prophesy that within the next 7 days you will see a clear distinction. You will walk into a chaotic room and feel absolute stillness. You will look at the news and feel no fear, only strategy. The confusion is leaving you right now. The brain fog is lifting. The signal is clearing up. Now hear the commission of the Lord from Isaiah chapter 21 verse 6. "For thus hath the Lord said unto me, Go set a watchman, let him declare what he seeth. You are set. You are positioned. You are authorized. Chosen one, do you accept this mission? Do not type it. Do not whisper it. Let your spirit scream a resounding yes into the atmosphere. Heaven has heard your answer. The door is shut. The ark is sealed. The radar is on. You are dismissed from the wilderness. Go to your post.